Are you and your team playing with full deck? Maybe it's time to figure out your strong suit and start playing some winning hands. Hey, my name is Van der Poegert and I believe that most rules problems are just interesting design challenges in disguise. In this video, I want to introduce you to personality poker created by Shapiro. And I'm going to do my best to explain this to you in under 10 minutes. But then also, I promise I will refrain from using any further poker puns or any sleight of hand throughout the course of the video. Let's get cracking. To be really innovative, you need to figure out where there are gaps in your team, perhaps where there are personality types or people missing in your team. And this is exactly where this card deck, or when you play with this card deck, come in to help you figure those kind of things out. Before I get into that, let's quickly have a look at what you get in the deck. So usually what you have is you have 5 decks in a set. You want to use 5 decks for 25 people. Also depends on the gameplay. Then the reason I'm geeking out is that I've done a couple of these card reviews. I mean, I'm the card guy. And this is the first set where it's actually a set based on the full 52 card playing card deck that you have at home. But there's one little difference here. So what is the similarities at first? First, you have the 2 colors. You have red and black. And then you have all the suits here. You have spades, clubs, diamonds, and then hearts is also hiding away here, hearts. And you have all the varieties. So you have from 2 to 10, jack, queen, king, and ace. And then you also have a set of 2 jokers. The one is kind of some crates around the card deck, and then the other one has a bit of a quick start guide on it. And on the cards itself, when you open the deck, you have the standard layout, but then also the only difference, but makes a massive difference, is that there's a little bit of a personality type on each of the cards. So for example, expert, direct, adventurous, versatile, self-sacrificing. And I'm going to show you in a second the framework that sits behind this, which I think is quite clever. So to do that, let's quickly simulate how you would play this. Now, this is the gameplay for, let's say, 25 or more people, larger groups of people. In fact, you can do it with hundreds. You just need enough cards to do the job. And then what you want to do is you want to do a fancy shuffle and then make sure it's all random. And each person, step 1, gets 5 cards in hand. So I'm going to deal myself a quick 5 cards here. And then what you do is once you have your 5 cards, you want to analyze these cards, just look at the statements over here and then prioritize them. So for example, I'm really drawn to the creative / impulsive, perhaps considerate, but then definitely realistic, and then maybe less disciplined, but don't tell anybody. So then the next step, what you want to do is that you've now identified, let's say, 3 top cards. You've prioritized them like this. And then what you want to do is you want to try and trade these out. You want to get rid of these. So the next step is to then get into the crowd of people, into the people in the room and say, listen, I want to do a quick trade. Maybe spot people in the crowd that you might know a little bit, or just walk up to people and say, listen, I've got a considerate card to swap. Someone might say, hey, I've got a skeptical that I would swap the considerate with you. So the important thing is when you do a swap is you want to make it mutually beneficial. So someone gets the considerate card from me and I grab the skeptical. So then I end up with a hand that's a little bit stronger, but perhaps not entirely me yet. Now the third iteration, what you do is that the facilitators will grab the decks, open them up, spread them out, and then what happens is you can go and find the cards that are missing to fill out your 5 cards in your hand. Now the other thing that's interesting that I really enjoy about this part of the gameplay is that you're also allowed to go out and grab a card that you think might be valuable for someone. So let's say if I see something visionary, maybe a colleague or someone I know or someone I just kind of have a feeling, I walk up to say, listen, I think that you're visionary. It's a positive kind of step in this role play or this gameplay. So you go out and you can gift cards. So for example, let's say someone came up to me and said, listen, I think you're curious. I'm going, damn right I'm curious. And I can get rid of one and then add that to my hand. So in the end, I will then end up with a nice set of cards that should describe me to a T. So how do you analyze the hand? So you can do this by observing what's in your hand. So I don't need any fancy things here to kind of figure out that I'm a little bit more on the creative side of things, but then also that there is a little bit of skepticism, maybe a bit of analytics going on. So I'm not completely in the clouds, but there is some science behind this. So To explain to you how this works, I have this quick drawing here. There's some diagrams online that you can have a look at, but fundamentally you want to start with colors. You see the colors on the right-hand side here, you have creative and rational, and that's where most of my cards sit, on the right-hand side. But then I have some cards in the black side of things, so analytical and rational. But then they also divided up in the suits, of course, right? So diamonds here is definitely more creative, and I can shift all my cards over here to the creative side. I don't have any hearts, but that's more relationships and people. When it comes to actions and plans, that is my clubs. Don't have a lot on the management side, but then I'm a little bit skeptical. So I like facts and I like to ask questions about things and analyze it. So it sits here. So my personality is over here. But now, if you can look at this, you'll also notice what am I not, right? So if I look at the quadrants, for example, I see 5 to 9, so it's a little bit higher. So it sits on the ideas side over here. So 2 of them sit in ideas, but then also I value experiences, right? And I can really see that in my real life. But then if I analyze these over here, I like to have a little bit of realism also. So you can see that I'm sitting kind of on this side of the map. When I look at the makeup of my team, I would love to see my team make up these spaces here, or at least spot where I require more help in my team. Now, I know from my history, for example, is that I really love working with the people who sit in this space, the people who keep me on track, the people who keep me real with the real things. And then also I love having people around me that do the talking and the engaging. So do all the small talk people are sitting over here. So if I fill my team out with these people, I definitely feel that I'm in a good space. Now, also have to underline is that the people who sit here aren't necessarily people that you like or might get along with for sure. So this is really an interesting way to kind of build out your team. Cool, let's do a quick speed explanation of the 6 people gameplay. So what you want to do is you want to grab all 5 decks, spread them out on a large table somewhere. You want to challenge in the first round people to go out and find the cards that are most relevant to them. Which ones do they connect with? You want them to get 3 cards. So I've got creative here, spontaneous, and I'm goal orientated. Let's play with that for a moment. So, and then what you want to do is now that I have the 3 cards that most represent me, I want to grab 2 cards that kind of doesn't represent me well at all. So for example, driven, I need someone to kick my butt sometimes, and sometimes I'm a little bit all over the place. So I have 3 cards that represent me and 2 cards that don't. And then the next thing you want to do is that each person in the team will get a chance to be in the hot seat. In the hot seat, you sit, keep your mouth shut, you have your cards open in front of you, no one is able to see it. And then the next step is that your team will go out and select cards. Each person gets a chance to give you an additional card. So for example, let's say someone is thinking that Vanner is very daring doing all these videos. So here's a card, Vanner. Thank you for being so daring, and I get gifted the card. Now, once everybody has done a little speech or gifted me a card, I get to reveal my hand. So I can share with the team, what do I think of myself? How do I observe or see myself? But then also where I think my weaknesses are. So it's really a great tool to kind of spark conversation with people and also kind of witness or see yourself through the eyes of other people, right? And as for the manager, it's a wealth of information about yourself and your team members. Whew, that was quite a mouthful. Now you might ask me, Vanner, what does this got to do with innovation? So let's just quickly wrap this up by pointing out that according to Stephen, if you look at the innovation process, now that you know what's missing in your team or what's really strong in your team, you can look at like the innovation process. So on one side, you have defining the challenge, and it's really good to have some analytical people in that space to help you define that challenge, finding the solutions and coming up with the creativity around that. You have your creative people. And of course, you have to bring this to market. You need your management people, your plan and execute folks over here. And then you need to engage hearts and minds to make and connect with people in the market, right? So now you can see and map your team back onto this matrix and see where you're strong and where you're perhaps a little bit weaker. But more importantly, I think what this card deck does, slows things down, not rush like me in this video, and really have and allow you to have meaningful, deeper conversations with your team and also explore and discover new things about your team and about yourself. So with that, I'm going to encourage you to go to stevenshapiro.com/personalitypoker. You can grab the cards there, online training, more information, books, and really dip your toe in the personality poker water if you so wish. And with that, I want to thank you for watching. And as always, catch you in the comments.